What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, and this is the Wolf of All Streets podcast, where twice a week I talk to your favorite personalities from the worlds of Bitcoin, crypto, art, finance, sports, music, politics, basically anyone with a good story to tell. This show is powered by Blockworks Group, a media company with over 20 podcasts in their network. You can check them out at blockworksgroup.io. If you like the podcast and you like following me on Twitter, you can check out my website at thewolfofallstreets.io. You can also sign up for my newsletter there and basically catch all my thoughts on markets and beyond. Now let's get into what's more important, and that's today's guest. He's a former Major League Baseball player turned artist. After discovering he needed a new platform to express himself, both vocally and artistically, he left the dugout and swung for the fences in the world of art. His transition has inspired people around the globe to achieve any dream they can imagine, regardless of race, background, or ability. So, Micah Johnson, man, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, man, that was a great intro, man. I'm glad to be here.
You know, gotta do it right. So I just, as we discussed, the premise of this podcast is really just to have a conversation with interesting people. And you've done so much and in seemingly like sort of opposite worlds, right? I mean, sports and art, I don't find kind of cross so often. So start from the beginning, man. Who are you? Where are you from? How did this all begin?
Yeah, from Indiana. Art was never a thing in our lives. Like baseball was always like the obsession and like beyond obsessed. Like when I was 4 years old, I was like, I want to be a Major League Baseball player. And every single day, like that was my dream. There was no plan B. And every teacher, is like, you got to have a plan B. You got to have a plan B. And I was like, no, I don't need a plan B when I know like this is what I want to do. So like, my whole life was just centered around baseball. And eventually, actually in 2016 with the Dodgers, my manager, I just got traded over there and he called me to the front and was like, what do you want to, he's like, what do you like to do? And I was watching around and I saw a lot of players like say, hey, I like to fish. And then Dave would be like, all right, Kershaw and Justin Turner, you take this kid fishing or something, right? So I was like, man, I don't want to go up there and say I play piano. Like, he want me to play piano, that'd be weird, So I did like a paint and sip class right before I went with my girlfriend at the time. And I was like, I like to paint, man. Like that, He was like, great, do a painting of Maury Wills. And Maury Wills was like a Dodger legend. And me and him had breakfast and lunch every day and used to bunt every day. And that's kind of how like art started. Like I presented this portrait and everyone's like, oh, this is so great. And I was like, great, I'm an artist. So I'm going to do it, And,
but had you never painted before? Like you didn't grow up? I mean, it wasn't even a hobby. Like I can't even draw stick figures. You couldn't teach me to paint if like your life depended on it. It would be impossible. I mean,
right. No, I was not. I'm the same way. Like I had no artistic ability at all. So like I never painted, just like messing around or whatever. Never painted, knew nothing about it. And then that season, like during the whole season, I just kept working on it, here and there. And then that off season, we had an exhibit at Dodger Stadium, like the first art exhibit they ever had. And it was with this duo named Shelby and Sandy out of LA, like probably one of the top like premier pop artists. Like they should not have done a show with me, but like they're the best dudes in the world.
Right.
And it was wild. And ever since then, I just like, I got to paint, man. That's what I got to do.
I mean, that's so crazy because it's not like art is not usually something I find that people come to like in their 20s and 30s, like you hear about people that kind of come back to, like I played the piano when I was a teenager and when I'm 60, right. I'm retired and I want to do it again. But to find a new hobby and then choose to make it a career is a pretty huge thing. What do most professional athletes do when they retire? I mean, I know that coming from a town like Gainesville, where like I am, they all become like the local insurance agents or they do the commercials and stuff. And that's
right. You guys have so many down there. They're like, like every year. No, I mean, I think it's changing now. I think players are becoming more like worried about like their brand and like investing in certain businesses. And like, you see that more like when I was playing, especially in baseball is kind of like a more conservative demographic. Like you see a lot of NBA guys with their portfolios and like different businesses out in, like Durant and Iguodala. And I think you're starting to see that more in baseball too. But I think, guys, like I talked to a lot of players who retire and like, who made a lot of money and they're like, they still are hustling, doing other stuff. I think it's like nature. You know what I mean?
That's it. That touches on something really interesting. When your whole life is competing, how do you let that go?
It's hard, man. You get a lot of trouble. Like you always have to compete at something. So like for me, like if I go to the casino, I don't stop. It's like not because of the money or anything like that. It's because like I'm competing. So you got to find like a way to like channel this. So for me, it's art now. Like I see, okay, I sold this, I reached this high price point, right? Or like this painting I did is better than my last. I'm always trying to like one up myself. So I kind of like internalize that competition. And at the same time, like I'm trying to push the limits creatively. So like I have this like internal competition, I guess. But for other guys, like you look at like what Kobe Bryant built like after his career, like one thing about athletes is when we come out of our sport, we're behind because business guys, you know, they build this like this wealth of knowledge and experiences, and they get their ass handed to them like early on. Right. We come out in like, you know, our 30s or whatever, and you're way behind the 8 ball. So like that competitive nature that he had to build that so quickly is like incredibly impressive. You know what I mean?
As I mentioned to you before, like I was born in LA. My parents were Dodgers fans back to like my family, my grandparents, great grandparents back to the 40s and 50s. And I was born in LA, so I was a huge Laker fan and Dodger fan as a result. And I mean, obviously a huge Kobe fan. And like, to me, the saddest part, obviously, besides the death of his child, was that we didn't really get to see that entire second act play out, because rarely do you see a person who can achieve greatness at that level in multiple fields. Yeah. And he was one of the rare ones who it seemed was setting up for that to happen. I mean, do you think that really was just his competitive nature? I mean,
yeah. You have to have something to expedite that. Like another example is like I don't know. I think you'll see a lot more players like that. Like Kyrie Irvings and like I said, like Iguodala, LeBron, right? Like you don't see a lot of players like that. But Kobe was doing that, you know, before social media, before like you could just check with people through video conferencing, right? Like he built this like empire, and I think, you know, a lot of players are doing that. Like one of my good friends, Adrian Gonzalez, like I played a long time, and now he has different businesses like all around, and it's like. I think Kobe was a big inspiration for a lot of us athletes, for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Did you ever feel like when you were an athlete that your voice was somewhat silenced? I mean, and that now you're channeling that creative energy. I mean, I've heard from a lot of people I know who played sports were sort of like, you know, you have to toe the line, and obviously like it's always the team narrative, and, you know.
Yeah, that's one thing I struggled with post playing, and especially now, like why I'm trying to, like, I feel really blessed that I have a second opportunity with another platform that I think has surpassed my platform as a baseball player.
That's crazy.
To use my voice. Yeah. Like I feel incredibly fortunate because like when I played, I was always that guy on the cusp, you know, like he might be the last guy on the roster or whatever. So I was just like head down, like I'm going to follow all the rules and I'm going to work every single day. You know what I mean? And there was still this stuff going on around us. Like I played in the game in Baltimore right after during the riots. And we had no fans. And looking back on it, like no reporters, like we didn't really talk about it. You know, we talked about how weird it was to play a game with no fans, even though there was a bigger issue going on, like right outside the stadium. So like, yeah, art's kind of like my avenue now to like say whatever I want to say.
And so, and you like consider yourself a crypto artist. So obviously there's a story there with Bitcoin as well. I'd love to hear like your Bitcoin story, how you got into it, and then maybe how, if it does, I mean, I'm just kind of assuming here, but that has something to do with also, you know, using your voice and that freedom, or at least that's how I view it.
Yeah, I mean, I just got into it just like everybody else gets into it, right? Like, oh, you see the price of
money.
money. And, you know, okay, I'm going to sell this and this. I see these artworks, right? And then you start looking at other trading them and all that. Everybody tries to day trade. Everybody gets, you know, smacked. So like, It's like the evolution of joining crypto, right? And for me, what I noticed a lot that I really admired about the community in crypto is like how close niche it was, right? Like it seemed like a lot of people were very inclusive, and it was a time in my life artistically where I didn't know what I wanted to do. So like they kind of welcomed me, and kind of like I was able to see what other people were doing, and like versus like the real art world, you know, artists are kind of like on their own, you know, all over the place. So I feel like I learned a lot from it. And now like I was able to kind of take those lessons, and now I have this clear path on what I really want to use the blockchain for, right? Like before it was just like, let's make money,
Right.
But these current projects we're working on now are like real use cases to bring like real world, eyes, and like, okay, that makes sense. Like this, like you only can do this on blockchain. You know what I mean? That's kind of like a really cool evolution for me, because I see the power of like blockchain, not necessarily like trading crypto and stuff, but like the underlying technologies and the benefits of it. You know what I mean?
Can you talk more about specifically what you're doing and what you're talking about then?
Yeah, I mean, so like it's probably the first time we talk about it publicly, but like one thing that we're working on, and I'll be flying out here probably tomorrow to work on for about the next 2 weeks, is my whole thing is I want to inspire children and give children an opportunity, right? I think Black kids especially are behind the 8 ball. But like I just speaking from my personal experiences, right? Like our resources were very limited growing up. So we didn't have like certain opportunities. Like I really wanted to go to the University of Arizona, and they offered me a really good scholarship, but we didn't have enough money to even cover the rest of it. So I went to Indiana University, right? So right now we're creating an initiative to, my subjects in my paintings are going to be actual kids in underserved areas. And we're going to identify certain kids. So right now we have 3 kids that we're going to start with. And what we're going to do is I'm going to paint them. And then we're working on another bigger project with photography that will kind of be like a computer programmed. So this artwork will have these kids and it can change over time. And it's really cool use of the blockchain technology. And with that, people can donate to this fund for these kids. So when they turn 18, they have access to this trust. For me, that's really important, because now they have options. You know what I mean? Like they have actual options.
Well, why are you so concerned with doing charity and with helping kids? I mean, you could be doing anything with your life. What is it that makes you sort of compelled to give back?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I just look back on my life and I had a lot of help, a lot of coaches. I didn't get to where I needed to be without them. You know what I mean? And a lot of these kids don't have that around, a lot of these kids, might not have a dad or don't have the resources to do this. So I feel like I want to do my part to give access and options, really. And, art, I've been blessed that, I can give back, with my art. I've worked really hard to earn the price points that I do. So I want to ensure that my art can give back to them. And I think seeing them, like these kids, be able to see themselves in artwork, like it's truly inspiring, because like they can look at their dreams and they can see themselves on these massive paintings or these massive artworks, right? And like always just like, like that's me up there. I'm just average kid, I might have all these tough circumstances, but I can look at myself on this painting or something. And to give back to them, it just makes sense. And to use the blockchain for that, it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So you said that you knew you wanted to be a professional baseball player when you were 4. Like, why baseball? I mean, I always think of like Hoosiers and everybody being a basketball player in Indiana.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the height thing mattered. Like, I mean, I'm like 5'11", like sometimes I was standing on my baby toes on my card, my baseball card would say like 6.
Get that 6. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know why baseball, man. Just something I was obsessed with. Like, and it's so funny because like, even to like my last game, my parents still didn't know how to talk about baseball. Like they didn't know like that was a good thing or a bad thing, even though they watch every game, So
it wasn't a family thing. This was like totally self-inspired.
No. Yeah. And it's really, my parents were really cool about that. Like they're supportive, but they also like don't care. You know what I mean? Like with art, for example, like I'll send my mom a picture of a painting. And everything, all the time, it's like, all I get back is a 1-word text, nice.
So, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, like nothing to her, right? And so like, that's how it was in baseball. I could hit, 2 home runs or 3 home runs, right? Nothing. And it was cool because like, it keeps you grounded. You know what I mean? Like to them, I wasn't doing anything special. I was just
playing, you're doing what you do. Yeah.
Like I was supposed to do this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, my mom listens to all my podcasts, and then she always like hits me up with questions. She's like, I try to listen, but I really didn't understand anything you were talking about for the last 49 of 53 minutes. But I mean, she really listens to all of them. And my parents were always very supportive of, obviously I had a long DJ career. They would fly around and come to my shows, and and whether they loved the music or not, they were always kind of there.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. But like, I just like, I listened to you talk about the things that you've done, and it sort of like resonates with me, obviously, because I had that DJ career, which certainly was not like on the level of being a Major League Baseball player, but it was great. You know what I mean? And then transitioning out of that and not having, I guess, that level of attention from people. And that was competitive in its own way too. It was always like the bigger gig, the better gig. And then transitioning to something that's so like personal, is you would think that music would be more personal, but when you're actually out there, it's not. But trading is very personal to me, like in crypto and stuff. It was a very interesting transition. And I always kind of joke that traders, your competition is yourself, not everybody else. And that's interesting that you said that about art for you, because if I said, hey, how do you compete? I would have thought you'd go play pickup ball or something like, but you're like, nah, it's like, it's my art. It's my art,
No, and it's funny you said that about trading and like crypto. Like, I feel like crypto is good for certain people that can keep that discipline and that like they can like tone down that competitiveness. Like for me, like when I first got in it, like I was like, no, I'm gonna push the limits, right?
Yeah,
and especially everybody. You can't push the limits in crypto. Like the limits are there, whether you like them or not. There's never going to be like you can't go 10x and try to get 11x because you'll be back to negative here in no time.
In 10 minutes.
Yeah. And I'm the king of that, So like one thing that's interesting about crypto, these artists, like you can make a lot of money in crypto, right? Like you see some artworks, like one the other day sold for like $55,000, right? So you give all these guys and girls like this Ethereum, right, or whatever, but there's really no like financial planning for them. Like for me, like I wish somebody would just say like, here, like some company just here's my Ethereum. You invested how you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I feel like that would be a good business.
Yeah. I mean, I still think that there's a sort of like this overriding idea that it's all monopoly money. Like I was joking with my friend the other day. I was like, I'll throw like, 10 grand, whatever, into some coin I've never heard of. I know nothing about the team, whatever. But if like one of my best friends was like, I've got this brilliant business idea, I need 10 grand. Get out of here. You know what I mean? So like, what is it that makes it seem like it's not like real money? I don't know. I think it feels that way to a lot of people, and that's the reason.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe it's like the volatility that it keeps us like going, right? Like, because like at any moment it could just go to, 2x on you, and you're just like, oh, great, like it's maybe that instant satisfaction. I don't know. I mean, there's always a chase in it, I think too. Like there's always something like, I don't know. I just think that, for me, like there's some artists that have a lot of Ethereum, and like to have somebody like say, okay, this is probably the best play for you. Like, I think that crypto art world or NFTs in general are just going to keep going up. Like the more mass adoption there is, the more Ethereum is going to be spent. And like, I feel like, we're artists. We just want to create,
right. You're primarily selling physical paintings, correct? So like, I think a lot of people maybe don't really even know about NFTs, but how does that play into your future plans? And I mean, I guess you've already talked about that a little bit, but like, I think a lot of people have a hard time jumping to like the value of digital art. Like, what do I put it on as a screensaver? Like, how do I use it?
Oh, I get that. Yeah. And for me too, with like my gallery and people that I work with, like PR and manager and all that, like they're very not like, I wouldn't say not, they don't understand it either. So like what we've been doing is identifying solutions to bridge the two. Because they see like the potential there. Like they see that like part of it makes sense, but they want to be able to sell it to their collectors, right? And I think with this upcoming project, you're going to be able to access it on your TV if you have Apple TV, right? So you're going to see my art on Apple TV, and you're going to also see it change. Like I have control over an aspect of this artwork. The owner of it has control over it. So that's like something that is like moving it towards that mass adoption. You know what I mean? I think this is going to be my like first real go at like we're going to get a lot of this next month and a half. We're doing a lot of like pushing it.
So talk about the art that you've done, that you've been selling. Obviously, I think everybody has seen the astronauts. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's like that immediately. That's how I associate you. Which is funny because like I mean, I have to be honest. I didn't even put together that you were the baseball player.
I love that. Yeah.
When we originally like linked on Twitter and stuff, I was like, this dude is just a cool artist. And I was like, that's the Micah Johnson, you know what I mean? So like, can you talk about your early art, why you were painting the astronauts and what the inspiration was there?
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that actually, man. Cause I tried really for a long time to have art, not be that baseball. Like I never wanted to be good at art and people buy my art because I was the baseball player, right? I was on this journey to buy my art because it's really good.
On its own merit, yeah.
Yeah, so the astronaut came about, honestly, dude, a couple months ago, I would say like in February or March, I was like wandering around like aimlessly as a creative, like doing projects here and there, but like never had a distinct style. Like you said, you identified me with the astronaut. Like I've fought for years trying to figure that out. Like I've had exhibits and just been random stuff, you know? And as an artist, you have to have something like to be like known. You have to have something that people can identify you with. Like whether it's like Jay-Z can't go make a country album and think it's going to sell. So like, you have to stick to like something that people identify you as.
Right.
Same with art. So a couple months ago, like just randomly, my nephew asked his mom if astronauts could be black. And I said, like, something just sparked, like this kid's 4 years old, but he feels like there's limitations on his dreams. And I remember like when I was 4, I never thought limitations. Like I never saw limitations until like the day I retired. Like never. So like, I was like, I just started just painting him, you know, just to inspire him. I would send him pictures. You know, him in his astronaut outfit, like massive. And he was like, this is cool. And he would like, you know, take pictures and stuff. And then it just kind of just took off from there. Like astronaut helmet kind of became that symbol for me, like of like chasing your dream, whatever it is, right? Because astronaut is one of those things that's like so far out there to be.
Yeah.
Like who is an astronaut?
Literally limitless. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it came about. Yeah.
Had nothing to do with like crypto moon memes.
No, because my stuff wasn't mooning then. I don't think anybody was in March.
No, March was a rough time, definitely. So, I mean, your plan now is art. I mean, that's what you're going to do. That's what you're focusing on. But it's still interesting to me that you focus on like being a crypto artist because inspiration can come from anywhere as an artist, right? I mean, do you paint other things? I mean, you know, I know that when I did music, I'd be working on like, I have ADD, but like I'd be working on like 97 beats at a time. And it would be like, I would do something for like 30 seconds. I'd be like, nah, I don't like those. Oh, let me pull up that other project. And it was just really scattered. That was just my artistic process.
So you were efficient like that, right?
Yeah, I was always working and I would eventually get them done, but I definitely I could never like sit down and be like, I have to do this song in a week and it's the only thing I'm going to work on this week.
Yeah, no, I think that I used to do that, right? I used to like, I got to push this. I got to like, you know, I sit and paint. And then I was like, you know what, this is getting ridiculous because I'm just throwing everything away. So now like I only paint when I feel like paint. Like if I'm not in the mood to paint, I don't paint because it's just going to be bad. Yeah. So then I'll go into the studio and usually I get in about 5 a.m, sometimes like earlier, maybe 6. Because that's when you're bright, like you're good, you know? And I'll just go. I'll go until about 10 o'clock and I'll text my girl and be like, yo, tomorrow night I'll do bath time with our daughter and all that. But tonight, like I'm gone, you know, and I'll be gone for, 14, 15 hours sometimes straight. And
yeah, I want to talk about that. So how much has having a kid affected your artistic process and I guess even your lifestyle? I have a lot of thoughts on that myself, obviously. So I'm curious as a new dad.
It's hard
because you can't go 48 hours.
No,
like, you have to do tomorrow.
Yeah, like I'm really bad at working. So like I could work every single second of every single day.
Yeah.
Like I don't sleep. So like I have a million different things going on. So like I don't know, it's not like work to me, you know, like you just do it. So like when she was first born, it was really hard because like I didn't adjust properly. Right. And I'm sure like I wasn't like the best at the beginning, but now like I'm starting to get in a groove where it's like, only paint. I get up early. So like before she's up, I need a couple hours. She takes a nap in the morning. I'm still going, but then like, I don't work on weekends anymore. So like that was always my thing. I always work on weekends. So I said no more on the weekends. And then I try to take her for lunch by myself. That's like really hard to do.
Yeah, impossible.
So just trying to find that balance, I think, is really tough, especially if you're really into what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's any parent who like is involved in the crypto market knows that, right? Because it's 24/7. It's like I just have to like set hours and set stop losses and hope for the best. I think
You don't mess with Uniswap because there's no stop losses on Uniswap.
Well, no, I do use Uniswap, but I just position literally my entire position would be equivalent to a like 1 or 2% loss portfolio. So like when I approach Uniswap or anything that has no stop loss, I just assume it's going to zero and plan accordingly, it's just way smaller positions and kind of more for fun, but I do it, but it's really challenging. It was challenging to me with music too. When I had my daughter, man, it's so funny looking back at how oblivious you are to what life's going to be like.
Right.
First of all, I thought I was going to have my studio in her bedroom. That's how dumb I was, thinking I was going to she was going to nap while I was going to sit there and make beats. But it was South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. Yeah. Like I had a gig on like March 19th opening for Future. And I was like, am I going to be able to go? She's going to be born. And she was born on the 16th and I left the 18th. Like we got her home and I went to the airport, like from the hospital, dropped her off and I went, and it was just horrible. Like I was there for 3 days and I felt so guilty and terrible. Yeah. And striving to find that balance, it was like from that day, I knew that whatever I was doing was not going to work anymore, And so like, even artistically with this, it's always been a struggle for me to like put away whatever I'm doing and focus on those other things in life.
Yeah, I think to keep it in perspective, like when I started seeing myself go down that path, like right now with this project, like I said, I'm gonna fly out tomorrow. I'm gonna be on it for a while. But like she'll come with me, like we'll hang out. And I just try to remember, like, this doesn't last. Like she's not gonna be this young forever.
No.
We go to lunch the other day and she throws her plate across the restaurant. She's like 10 months, but she has a lot of attitude. And I'm like, that sucks. And I'm stressed out in here. Like, but it's not gonna last forever. And like, I can paint whatever, So
yeah, I think the problems just evolve. that doesn't last forever, but then you got like a teenage daughter and a whole other world of problems.
Yeah, I mean, that's when I'm gonna be at the studio all the time. Her mom can deal with it.
So, like having been an athlete for so long, how do you keep in shape? Like, and I've always been interested to ask someone who played baseball, because like I know dudes who played basketball go play pickup basketball, but you can't go play pickup baseball, right? So like the minute you're done with baseball, you're kind of like done with baseball, right? Unless you like go to the batting cage or like go practice stealing bases or something. I mean, what do you do?
No, dude, I couldn't. Like if I try to hit a baseball right now, it wouldn't work too well. I haven't thrown a baseball since my last game, and not even like picked it up, nothing. Like
what?
I haven't touched a bat either. I don't have a bat. I don't. It
was your whole life
gone. Like nothing. Like my daughter will never know I play baseball. Like ever, because I don't have anything. Like no like memorabilia. No like so like physical exercising. Like I always knew it'd be tough when I got done, because like I was so used to having someone like a trainer every day. Like
someone driving you, right?
Yeah, now like I wake up at 5 and all right, I gotta go work. I gotta go do this. You know what I mean? So like I've been awful, because it's just like I admire every normal human that isn't training to like be an athlete that works out, because I'm like, you have to have so much motivation, like,
yeah, you do. RoundTheX.com is one of my favorite companies in the entire crypto space. What they do is take all your small purchases and round them up to the nearest dollar and invest that spare change into any of over 30 crypto assets of your choice. They integrate with your favorite exchanges so that you can view various exchange balances all in one dashboard and round up into different assets all at the same time. And they do all this without ever holding any of your Bitcoin. This is by far the best way to dollar cost average into Bitcoin. Go to roundthex.com and use the promo code WOLF for $4 in free Bitcoin after making your first roundup or purchase. That's ROUNDLYX.com and code WOLF for $4 in free Bitcoin. Are you sick of paying ridiculous fees to trade crypto? It's time you try Voyager. It's hands down my favorite place to buy and trade crypto, and it's 100% commission free. Voyager gives you easy access to more than 30 top crypto assets, and you can instantly transfer cash from your bank account so you never miss a trading opportunity. Even better, you can now automatically earn interest on your crypto holdings. Currently, they're offering 5% interest on Bitcoin and 6% on USDC. Yes, you heard that correctly, 6%. And there are no limits or lockups, which means your funds always stay liquid. Find out why so many people are making the switch to Voyager. Visit investvoyager.com or search for Voyager on the iTunes or Google Play Store and get $25 in free Bitcoin when you use the promo code SCOTT25. That's investvoyager.com, promo code SCOTT25 for $25 in free Bitcoin and start trading today. For me, it's like it centers me. Like it's, like I said, kind of, I have ADD. I think that's like the best medication for me is just to like turn it all off and go exercise in some way, shape or form. But it's interesting. I would have never thought that like you literally hadn't touched a baseball or a bat. I mean, do you miss it? Or are you just like, are you the kind of person who are like, that's done, on to the next thing. I'm passionate about something else. I don't even have time to think about that.
No, I mean, do I miss it? I don't know, man. Like
I don't touch music.
Yeah,
same. Those turntables back there might or might not be plugged in. I'm not even sure. I haven't touched them in probably a year besides just playing a record.
Yeah, I feel like we're the same in that sense. Like I don't miss it. I don't like have any disdain for it. Nothing. It's just I'm just locked in on what I'm doing. Like that's it. Like I just like I said yesterday. Like I look at I saw an old picture of me like turning double play like in Cincinnati or something. This guy was like taking me out like in the air. It's like I don't remember anything. Like it didn't seem like it was my life. You know, like I saw I was like playing opening day in 2015. It's like that doesn't even seem like that was like a thing. It's like I'm so locked in every day on this art, and like I don't know. Sometimes I'm like I don't think I enjoyed it as much. You know, like when you're in it, like with music, for example, like you're like opening your future, right?
Yeah.
You're so like locked in, you don't enjoy it. So like now,
I agree.
I'm trying to like that's really dope. You know, like you should like be like kind of like not boastful, but like yo, like this is dope. You know. So with art, I'm trying to do that a little bit better. Like be more in the moment. Like I had an exhibit just open up in LA a couple of weeks ago, and things were selling really fast. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna fly out there. I want to see this. Like,
yeah,
exhibit in the gallery right there on on Beverly Boulevard. So right there on the corner. I have my big, like right on the corner. So I was like, you know, I'm gonna go fly out and see this. You know, like I'm trying to just enjoy things more now.
Right, but you're not like. I mean, describe to me that feeling like your first major league at bat.
Dude, it was really cool because it's kind of crazy. But the guy at first base, he died in a car accident in the Dominican Republic. I think it might have been that off season or the year after. He was like a star young pitcher, man. And I remember facing him. He was very loud. Like we used to go at it all the time. And my first at bat, I think it was like 13 or 15 pitches, man. And it was in Kansas City right after they went to the World Series. So like Kansas City wasn't shit like for the long time, right? Like winning like 50 games, but they went to that World Series that year. So we opened up there, sold out, man. I was like, whoa, like, and I never seen something like that. Like,
right, yeah. I mean, it's a whole other.
Yeah, you know, like you don't see the faces, but you look and it's like this is really loud. Like this is really loud, and you seem like so minute, and. It was 15 pitches, man, and he just kept throwing, and he was yelling at me. I was laughing at him. It was really, really, I don't know, it was really cool. I wish I kind of slowed things down a little bit, but it's hard, you know, when you're around, I don't know, like 50,000 people, you know, like hard to be in that moment. You know?
Right, and how about that lifestyle? You know, like half the year on the road, hotels. I think people think it's so glamorous, but I'm assuming that it's not at all.
Yeah, that's one thing I was thinking about a lot is like, have I done that with my daughter, right? Like if I work 14 hours in a day, like I miss her a lot, you know, and I feel like I feel guilty, you know, like I need to be helping out. So like there's guys, you know, they go 10 days, we go 10-day road trips, 12-day road trips. And it's like spring training is like, you know, 2 months. And that's why when sports is coming back, I'm talking about that bubble we're doing, you know, like family and stuff might not be able to go and stuff. It's like, they're not going to see family for like 2 or 3 months, man. That's crazy. You know, so like,
do you think that sports are going to happen? I mean, like, you think NFL football is going to make it through a season?
yeah, we're talking about hope, man. Like,
I'll be too. Fantasy.
man, I know, man, that's a good question. I think so. It's too big not to. Like,
yeah.
If baseball did it, if baseball's traveling, and we have a lot of people that travel with us, you know, travel secretary, medical, like, I know NFL's 53 guys and a lot of people too, but I think if they're smart and responsible enough, it can be done. It's just going to be weird if no fans in the stadium, right? Like, of any game, NFL is most impacted by crowd noise.
Yeah, I mean, like, you go to play in Seattle, you know, it's not the 12th man, whatever. It's not a joke. That's a real impact on the game.
So I wonder if would it be the same if they even do come back, you know?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a different sport. I wonder if they'll just like pipe in extremely loud noise to make the players feel like it's not just a scrimmage.
Oh, man. I don't know. I think NBA has been fun to watch, like with the bubble and all that. Like those guys, you know. But that's, like you say, you just pick up basketball. Like those dudes are going to play hard at LA Fitness, you know.
Yeah, that's the nature of the game.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, I don't know. I think the NFL can do it. I do. They got the resources, you know, to get it done.
Baseball is so interesting because it's like, it's a team sport in theory, but no aspect of it really matters who your teammate is besides maybe like pitcher and catcher, right?
None. Yeah. So like, that's one thing, like when I come to art, when I'm in art now, like, and I'm really trying to build my art out as like a brand, right? I'm not just focused on paintings. Like this project coming up is strictly photography, like conceptual photography. Another one is like, I'm working on a sneaker deal, right? So like, I'm trying to build this whole message out where it reaches as much people as possible. So right now, like we're working on building a team, right? And like, it's so funny because in baseball, you're right. Like now you can have Mike Trout on your team and you don't make the playoffs ever, right? So like, I'm trying to instill that with us is like, even though like I'm doing all this, like I still can't make myself a brand by myself, right? Like you got to have people that do this and that, you know? So like, people ask me like, you really need this and this. I'm like, yeah, because like at the end of the day, like I can't move the needle on my own. Just like Mike Trout can't move the needle on his own. LeBron James in the NBA game for sure can carry his team as far as he can, right? But I think just playing baseball helped me learn that like even if I go 4 for 4 home runs and we lose 5-4, like I did nothing. You know what I mean?
Right. If you're on second base, it doesn't really matter who's catching the ball on first.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's just, it's the only sport where it seems like players are so interchangeable in a team sport with that many players. I mean, like the dynamic of like, you would think it would be that way in the NFL, but like the dynamic of losing even like one lineman can like blow up a team completely. Right.
Yeah. That's what I think about the NFL. Like when you really watch it, it's the same thing as like baseball. Like, if you lose that lineman, or if the Chiefs don't have Patrick Mahomes, like,
yeah, it's a wrap.
Right.
I think the Steelers last year without Roethlisberger. I mean,
yeah, man. So I don't know. I think my life path has been really like planned out before me. Like to play baseball, to understand how important teams are, like to understand, like, I don't know. I think it's been a really cool journey. Like I'm like really just soaking it in at the time. You know what I mean?
Do you think that art is like, it's what you're going to do until the end, or you think that this is like the intermediary of 3 acts or 4 or 5, or is it just not how you think?
No, I think it'll always be there in some shape or form, some form of creativity. But like I work with like, I'm a co-founder of a company right now that we're getting ready to build out that's really cool. And I don't know, I just always have to have something else new to learn. You know what I mean? Like my philosophy is if I have one life, like I want to try to do everything, try everything out. And I'm okay with failing. That's another thing that baseball taught me. Just like I failed, I don't know my average, but I failed 80% of the time in my career. And I played 7 years, you know? So like I know how to fail. So like now, like if I fail, like it's just like whatever it is. Like I hope I fail a lot of times, because then I learn, okay, and then the next one's gonna be bigger and better. You know what I mean?
What's it like being an athlete and you're not like the big star on the team? You know what I mean? Because like you're always fighting for a job and you're always like you said, it's head down, you're kind of hustling all the time. I mean, I think people think that being an athlete is so glamorous, but most of the time you're just working your ass off at your job to make sure that you have a job, right?
Yeah, it's hard, man. For me, like I was always like that star guy, right? Like coming up, high school, college, minor leagues, even when I was like with the White Sox in 15. But then you get traded to the Dodgers, and it's like boom, like God, there's Kershaw, there's Adrian Salas, there's Carl Crawford, there's Chase Utley, and it's like I'm just over here in the corner, like just give me a number, man. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's 103, So like you have to have like that intrinsic like confidence in yourself, and I didn't have that then. Like I think like that's when my career really turned, because I was used to being a guy. Now like I'm not the guy. I'm like at the very end of the totem pole. You know what I mean? So like having that confidence in whatever you do, you have to build it before you have success. I don't think confidence should come after you have success. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Every professional athlete basically in the world was like the man until the time when they became a professional athlete, right? Which is kind of crazy to think about, but it's like every single one of them was a superstar.
Yeah, every single one. Not every single one. If you're in the major league, if you're in the NBA, everybody was a star on their team. Everybody.
Yeah. It's just crazy to think about. So what was the like final, nail in the coffin for baseball when you hung it up and said that that's it?
I mean, to be really honest and transparent, in 2018, I got traded to Tampa. That was a great opportunity for me. The year before that, I had missed most of the season with Atlanta. Basically shattered my entire hand, like one of the last games of spring training. And when I came back, I just kind of sat the bench and didn't have a role anymore. And I got traded to Tampa, and I said, okay, this is a good opportunity. And I worked really hard, went into that spring training, and just went off, like went out of my mind. And it was weird because I was playing at a level that I never played before in my life. Like every time I got to bat, I was like, I'm either going to hit a home run, a double. I was playing second base, third base, shortstop, center field, left field, and making plays. I was like, I'm going to make this team, like not even a question. But at the same time, I would go home and it'd be like the most like depressing time of my life. Like I wasn't sleeping. I lost about 20 pounds that spring training. So I went from like 200 to like 179, a number I haven't been since like college. And I finally thought maybe I just had ADD or whatever it was. And I went to see my team doctor to get some Adderall, like, let me get some Adderall, this is it. This is what my symptoms are, man. I feel down all the time, even though I'm having the best spring of my life. And like, I go home, I don't eat, I don't sleep, just really depressed. So he sent me to another guy and it was like, I think you might be suffering from like bipolar disorder. And I said, that's interesting because I never heard of this. I thought it was bipolar has a stigma of like 1 minute you're screaming and 1 minute you're happy, the next minute you're laughing.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. So he's like, I'm going to give you some medicine. And I said, all right, man. But he gave me this medicine that messed me up to a point where like it just numbed you. It took all
like lithium or something. Yeah. Like something. Yeah.
Lithium. Give me lithium and Depakote. So he gave me that right at the beginning of the season. So I didn't make the team. Even though I had that race screen, I didn't make the team. They needed a right-handed bat. They were facing, I forget who it was, like the Yankees to start the season. And I had a bunch of lefties. So I was like, I'll send you down, but you'll be back up. Just so, that just set me down. Like I was done. Like I didn't sleep. Didn't sleep for a couple of days, nothing. And so he gave me that lithium and Depakote. And for me, I was such a high energy guy. Like I'm going full speed every game, and just fun. And I was done. Like that lithium and that Depakote, man, I missed like 7 games to start the season just from that medicine.
Wow. Didn't they say that like Mike Tyson was like, I think his story was kind of the same thing. Like he was such an incredible boxer and so ferocious, but he had I don't know if it was bipolar or something. It might've been lithium, and then like the choice basically was like, do we medicate him and let him like live a happy life? Or do we like keep him as a good boxer? Cause he couldn't fight when he was medicated, basically.
Basically, that's what it came down to. Like my last year, I played like medicated. I don't think I've ever really talked about it. So like that was like my last year. I played completely medicated, and it was the worst year of my life. Like I don't even know what I hit, but I didn't hit anything. Almost like I forgot how to play baseball. Like I would throw balls away, like not care. Never worked out, never practiced. And looking back, like sure, like I could say like I'm upset because like I had this great opportunity. I was with the Rays. I hit like 4-something in spring training. Like they would have called me up if I just played normal, you know. And then my career, my only love in my life is baseball. So like just gone because of this medication, man. Like and I don't think I would have quit, honestly, if I wasn't on that medication. That medication just put me in a place where I didn't care about anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I have ADD, but I didn't really deal with it until I was an adult, and I started taking meds in my 30s. It was great for a while. And then after a while, I kind of felt like it wasn't me as well, and transitioned myself off of it and just kind of learned to live with it. And I think I've been much happier in that regard. But it's weird. I mean, I guess it fixes you in some way, but also just kind of can, depending on what it is, can fundamentally change who you are.
I think there's people that need it, man. I really do think there's people that need the lithium, and they need the Depakote and stuff like that. But there's other people like myself who I don't think I was really that, like, it was just a moment. And looking back on it, I did have periods where like I would stay up for like 7 days, 6 days, maybe sleep like an hour a night, go play a game, ball out, and come home and do that again and never be tired. So like I showed signs, but it wasn't like, I wish I would have had an opportunity to figure out, you know, recognize it, acknowledge it, and okay, let's figure out a plan without this medicine that's going to just make you a zombie. You know, like let's figure out a way to, you know, work on this together. You know,
it's weird that they didn't like give you warning that could happen. And I wonder, makes you think about how much, on a totally separate topic, but I think it's a huge problem that a lot of physicians like medicate first and ask questions later. Yeah. Right? So it seems like you could have just like had some psychiatry sessions for a month or something and seen if you could work it out. But do you think that was because you were an athlete that they were like, we got to fix this, and they went right to medicine?
I don't know. I don't know why that was it. And the dosages were like, they were extreme. I didn't feel well at all. I didn't feel well at all. Like very nauseous, very sick, and like zero emotion to anything. Like nothing. That's crazy. So I was like, you know, like I said, I think some people definitely do need it. Some people do have that chemical imbalance where it's like so extreme that, you know, that is a really proper solution. But, you know, for other people like myself, like Mike, like you said about Mike Tyson, like we fed off that, like no sleep. Like you need to be like, you gotta have emotion to play sports. I mean, you gotta get mad. Something to go. You gotta get mad. You strike out 4 times. I was striking out 4 times and nothing.
Yeah, that's not even you.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So
that's interesting though, because hearing that's the way that I guess things ended for baseball, that kind of actually seems like a story that makes sense for transitioning into art, right? I mean, taking that passion or taking the emotion and pouring it into something. Do you think that was part of the reason that you got so into painting and were able to really like dive into that so hard?
Yeah, but because I was able to. It was still tough though, because I left baseball not ready to leave. So like I didn't really prepare myself as an artist, you know, to make that transition. So like we had a baby and had all these new stresses in your life. Now I'm jobless essentially, right? Like I don't know what I'm going to do next. So I was pushing all these creative like options, you know, like blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it was really, really scary, like really scary. But I don't know, it works out, man. And that's why I don't take any of my success for granted. And I don't, because I work my ass off to sell paintings, and I work my ass off to be in magazines. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like this was just like handed to me because I played baseball. No, like I really went through like a really rough time and a lot of failure, a lot of like fear. And I'm going to enjoy it. Like, I'm going to enjoy this. You know what I mean? Like, cause I don't know when it will end. Like, will it end prematurely again? Like, you know, like,
I mean, art in every form is, you know, it's not fickle, I guess, when it comes to like your passion for it. You'll always be able to do it, but it can, I mean, as a business, I mean, I can tell you, I was rinsed by the music business more times than I can possibly count. I talk about it all the time. Like all these times when I thought I was at my, like I was there, man. I was on the cusp. This was my big breakout moment, and then just completely got screwed or messed something up, or you know, just like it just never seemed to like quite get over that edge. I mean, it's a vicious business, but I don't know anything about the art world that you're in.
I mean, I'm sure it's really similar. It's like, you don't have control. Like if someone likes your shit, you know, someone's gonna like it. If not, you're not. And if a lot of people don't like it, what are you gonna do? You know, like you can't sacrifice your creativity. You can't sacrifice your style. Like you can't go try to emulate somebody else because people aren't gonna like feel that
authentic. Yeah, I mean,
right. Like if you played something, you know, that you didn't like, or made something you didn't like for somebody else, how miserable.
I used to do it. I mean, there came a time where it was like, you know, someone would say, I need a song that sounds like blah. And I'd be like, that's not what I do, but I can make it. And I was always unhappy. It was never good. So what artists inspire you? I mean, obviously as a visual artist, I mean, you know, I
don't look at artists anymore. When I figured out what I was doing, like when I figured out this is what I want to do, like for example, I don't use paintbrushes anymore. I just paint my hands. I work with all hands. And I finally realized that by not looking at other artists, like the artists I worked with for that exhibit, they can paint the most straight lines you have ever seen, like freehand, standing on one leg, and their work looks like it was on a printer, right? It's the most amazing thing of all time. That's not me. So social media, you go look at this, you go look at that, you try to, you know, when you're creative, you can't be going on social media and going on the internet because you're going to lose your creativity. You're going to try to emulate this thing and that thing. So like once I figured out that, okay, I'm going to do my hand, I'm going to paint with charcoal and oil, whatever it looks good to me, and this is what I'm going to do. Like I don't look at other artists anymore. Like, I respect other artists, you know, but like I just know myself. I go look at them. You might see something of theirs and like try to emulate it, you know.
But that's described music to the T, right? Everybody's just copying or trying to find the next trend. Potentially, so like, but you just like tried painting one day and now you're a great painter. Did you take classes? Did you watch YouTube videos? I mean, or did you just like buy a whole lot of canvas and paint and figure it out?
I had the resources financially to be okay for us a year or two, right? So I was able to give it a shot and fail. You know what I mean? Like I was able to give it a shot. So like I was extremely fortunate in that sense. You know, like if I had to tell somebody like you want to quit your job to be an artist, like, okay, that's going to be hard if you don't want to like really take classes because you're going to have to try for years until you find your style. You know what I mean? That signature style. So like you have to be prepared to not make any money for this. It's not like you just boom, this is my signature style. It's very rare. You know what I mean? Like
unless you've been doing it your whole life. Yeah. But
exactly. Yeah. So for me, it was just, you know, I used the resources I had from baseball, extended them as long as I could, painted, you know, and just see what I could do with painting. And, you know, luckily for my family's sake, you know.
But you were willing. I mean, that's a huge gamble. You were willing to take like everything that you had from a very successful previous career and risk it on the idea that you might be able to like turn painting into something or art into something.
Dude, because I'll tell you what, man, I'm a gambler straight up. Like if you would say like, let's play war for $1,000, I'm gonna play war because not because like I just like gambling and I like money or anything. I just gonna bet on myself every single day of the week. Like that's it. So like if my girl was like, you know, and I want to quit my job and do this, right? I know her now, so I'd bet on her, you know, because I'm around her every day. But like for me, like I also know what's in my brain. I know how I go. So like even though, she's amazing because she was watching me fail. She was, carrying our baby and like, was like, yo man, like what's up, dude? Like, you got to figure this out, but she was cool about it. Cause she was just like, like, okay, he'll figure it out. And she was getting stressed out eventually, but I just kept the faith, man. I just bet on myself, man. That's it.
So, I mean, so you already feel, you said that you're kind of more successful at art than you even were at baseball, which is a pretty big statement. So that means sky must be really the limit. And by the way, I feel that way about what I'm doing now versus music, even though I did it for so long. Yeah. I don't know. At least I have a lot more confidence in it. And, yeah.
But what do you measure? So how do you measure your success though? Like, is it by your profit losses?
Happiness. No, like I think it's happiness and just like stability, which are like the two things I didn't really consider at other times in my life, I guess. But my situation is so similar to yours. It's unbelievable. Because our child was unexpected. My first kid, our daughter, my music career was like, I was the old dude in the room, like I was already in my late 30s when we had her. So like, it's, like in that movie, what is it? Dazed and Confused, where Matthew McConaughey's like, I get older, they stay the same age. That was me with my DJ career, right? Everybody else was in their 20s and I was just getting older. So I was already like on my way out of my music career, whether I wanted to admit it or not. So like when she was pregnant and stuff, I was really trying to figure it out, and trading came even after. So I had not had it figured out when my daughter was born.
A lot at the beginning of trading though? Like,
it was something I'd already done, but I never had the balls to like go full bore into it. And like, cause that's a big risk, kind of like the risk you took and saying, listen, I'm just going to spend all my money for the next 2 years to see if this is going to be a career. That's what becoming a professional trader is to whatever degree, but, I don't know, man. I think success just comes with like knowing that your family is taken care of and, feeling like you're not going to like fall off that cliff and be completely like useless tomorrow. Right. Like I've got something set up where like, I think I have stability, and that's something that you don't find really in like a music career, at least for me. Like I had major highs and lows. So I don't know if it's the same for you. I don't know are you gauging it money or are you gauging it?
After hearing you talk, I think that's how I gauge it. Like the money provides that stability. Plain and simple, like you have to have a house, and, the daughter has to go to school, you have to, provide. And you have this certain level, everybody has a certain level of comfortability. Like some people like more high upscale stuff, like it's okay. Like everybody has different levels of comfortability. So I think hearing you say that, like that stability, like right now, like I wouldn't say like I'm at optimal happiness because I'm still like pushing to get that stability, right? It's just this, my exhibit just launched.
The nature of art. Yeah. I mean,
my exhibit just launched, like a month or two ago. Like literally we came up here to Maine and I had this brand new studio, massive, no idea like what I wanted to do, like no gallery representation, no management, nothing. And I made a painting and I said, I'm ready. So I called this gallery that reached out to me years ago and asked for if I had any paintings to show them. I had nothing. So I was like, I'm not ready. And I said, I think I'm ready. I was like, I know I'm ready. Like, this is what I got.
Yeah.
And, like, let's do this. So like, it wasn't until like, honestly, this summer that, this just started. So like, once I build this stability and I have this like infrastructure in place, then I feel like I would be at that. Okay, I'm successful. Right now, I'm still in that grinding stage, I think.
I mean, I think you got to always be in that grinding stage because I definitely want more, you know what I mean? And I think that most people do, but like, I think it's like this last few years, the first time where it's like, I'll be good in a year from now, no matter what. Yeah. And I definitely never necessarily felt that no matter how well I did, because I knew that like, it just always felt like it could fall off a cliff. And listen, I mean, then you get COVID and all this crazy stuff. I mean, you never know with life, but at least I think that the things that I can control, I'm doing well at controlling.
Yeah, it's suppressive in that market,
I have a lot of other things, the podcast helps and have, all these other things, these other streams of business. It's very hard to rely just on trading. And I think that that's, there's sort of this like fallacy of thinking that if you're a trader, you should do nothing else and you should just be able to see that way. But anyone who's really done it for a long time knows that, It's going to be bad moments no matter what you do, and to have other things, so.
Yeah, definitely, man. And especially you don't want to ever do just one thing either. Like,
not me.
And you have different streams coming in, and, they eventually all benefit each other just because, you might make it into something else, but you realize I suck at this, I'm a grinder. So you keep grinding in different areas.
Yeah. I keep trying new things. Do you think you'll ever come back to sports? I mean, not necessarily professionally, but like, do you think that you'll ever get that itch where you need to?
Yeah, I've been asked a few times. The company we're building right now has a lot to do with sports. So yeah, I mean, in some shape or form, I'll be in sports, but not I don't watch sports. I don't, unless I bet on a game, which is now I don't really have time to look what the spreads are. I just don't watch sports. So I think I'll be involved in sports in a more of a, how can we provide better access to Black kids in baseball, stuff like that. How can we improve in the creativity of this campaign or marketing, stuff like that, more of the business side instead of just, the
It's interesting though. You said that you never felt there were any barriers for you. Right.
Yeah, because I grew up in a place where, Indiana is very kind of rural, right? But
yeah.
At the same time, when we grew up, we had a lot of help, a lot of people paid for me to play travel ball,
right.
Family members and stuff. And I was really lucky, but that just proves what access can provide these kids. I wasn't getting any money. We didn't have money, but I had access to these travel ball teams. You know what I mean? And just be able to have kids get that access. I remember one time, I couldn't go to baseball practice because we didn't have enough money for gas to go to work there that week. My parents had enough money to go to, so there's a lot of kids in that situation on a daily basis, they don't have the resources to tap into that can get them to practice or let them play this travel ball tournament they need to get, do to get scouted, right? So they're trying to figure out the best way to do that. It's kind of where my head is at,
That's really interesting. And you got to think about how many, certainly in music, but how many incredible young artists there are out there that have no platform. And I guess now that at least the internet is somewhat, and social media is a great equalizer to some degree. When I was growing up, if people were music and stuff, it was literally just about access, right? You couldn't even share your stuff with anyone unless you physically had a person to show it to. Or
walking up to them.
But now, I guess, sky is kind of the limit with social media.
Yeah. Social media is big for kids. I don't understand it as much. I haven't.
I got Twitter. That's it, and I can't do that.
You gotta seems like it's just you gotta dive into it, man, and really invest your time, and that's what you're gonna do. I think.
But isn't that huge for in your industry? If you want to be a successful artist, or do you have someone else that does that for you, or is it just you don't worry about it?
I probably should do better. I'm doing better now, but for me, I just like creating. I like doing stuff and I don't really like publicizing. I'm maximizing posts.
Yeah.
So but there's also artists out there that are I like the dope artists that don't have that big a following, but you see them in these massive collections and institutions.
Yeah, following and talent are two very disparate ideas, right?
Cool.
It's that way with everything, but
yeah. There's something cool about it. Even in music, you see some guy, just because he makes crazy viral videos, got all these followers, but the music's trash. But he's
Gangnam Style wasn't the best song that was ever made, but it was the most viral at the time. Or whatever.
Right.
But and that's the thing about art. The most famous artists are not the ones who were necessarily the most talented or whatever. They just either were in the right place at the right time, or they had access, kind of like you were talking about. You have to have a certain base level of talent, I think, to succeed in art, but then you have to have that lucky moment and capitalize on it.
Yeah, and you got to be a businessman. Art's about selling. You can't be an artist and not sell. So you got to have this business savvy about you. There's a lot of artists out there that are really good at art but don't sell.
Yeah.
Maybe that's their prerogative, but I don't know. At the end of the day, I like eating. I gotta.
Eating's fun.
Yeah, like I gotta eat.
Eating's cool.
Yeah, like I'm not going to just make something just to fulfill myself. If I do, I just keep it aside or something. But at the end of the day, this is my job.
How much of your art is hanging in your house?
So
do you make stuff and you're like, I'm not selling this. This is mine.
Everything in my world got a price tag except a few things, but like I'll make something with the idea that it won't ever hang in someone's house. So like present it, but at the same time, knowing that I want to keep this, you know what I mean? Something personal to me that like no one else really cares about. That's kind of how I view it. If they buy it, they buy it, or I put a high price tag on something, that's kind of how I operate.
Yeah, this is mine unless.
Yeah, right. Unless. Yeah, exactly. Unless should be my like slogan.
Yeah, exactly. So where can everybody, like after this, obviously I know we're up against it, like where can everybody find you, follow you, and what should we be looking for like, in the coming months to years? Yeah,
so artangels.net is all my current works that are available on there. Instagram, Micah _Johnson 3, same as Twitter. And I would say September is grind mode for me. A lot of PR pushing for a launch in early October of this new kind of art I'm doing that nobody's seen, been planning it for a long time, never talked about it. Big plans for it, but that's going to be early October that we'll finally be able to release it. So just September might just be dead for me, but
that's good. Calm before the storm. I think the NFT space is so interesting, and I've had a lot of companies I'm starting to hear it like bubble for sure. As sort of the future of the kind of crossover between crypto and art, certainly. So
there's a lot of companies that are doing it where you don't have to get a MetaMask wallet, and you don't have to go to Uniswap. There's companies that are making simple use of the technology, the underlying technology of it all, which is the blockchain. Like that is like what provides like uniqueness to all this,
Right.
And I think
I look forward to seeing what you're going to do with it, man. And thank you so much for taking the time. It's a crazy story. And thank you so much for sharing, I guess, things that you hadn't sort of shared before. I never talk so much on my podcast either. I'm usually listening, but you ask me questions. Now I put all my crap out there as well. So. But we'll have to do this again and follow up in a couple months and see where you're at.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.